Hi, this is Chiadika. I am a bachelor and master's degree holder in bioengineering from the University of Pennsylvania, and I'm currently a software engineer at Google.
Hi, this is Joey. I currently have a bachelor's in bioengineering from the University of Pennsylvania, and I'm currently an integration engineer at Epic.
And you're listening to
White Canes Connect.
Hey there, PA Federationists. Welcome to another episode of White Canes Connect, presented by the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. My name is David Goldstein. I am the first vice president of the affiliate, and joining me today, as always, White Canes Connect creator and co-host, Lisa Bryant. Lisa, what do we have on tap today?
So we are sort of reunited today with Chiadika Eleh and Joey Way. Both were at our Keystone meeting in December of last year with a prototype of See-Rynge, which is a liquid measuring device specifically for those who are blind or low vision.
What a great idea for this device. What I think is the greatest takeaway of all the great takeaways, besides how smart these two folks are, is that neither of them are blind. They don't have any family members or friends that are blind. They saw a need after speaking to a bunch of folks of what they could develop when they were at Penn, and this is what they've come up with. So let's take a listen. Chiadika and Joey, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Nice to see you again because we first met the two of you. I think that was back in December. You came to one of to the Keystone meeting to show us See-Rynge. Is that the correct way you pronounce the device?
Correct. It's a word play on the word syringe.
Yes.
So See-Rynge, yeah.
Yes. So that was back in December. And I think we were supposed to meet again earlier this year. There have been some stops and starts, and we'll probably talk about that. But first, what is See-Rynge?
So See-Rynge is a liquid measurement device that's designed specifically for the blind and low vision population. So it features audio feedback, tactile feedback, and just more output methods that would be more intuitive for those who do not use their vision in their day-to-day. Because we found that there are a lot of gaps in the current measurement spaces where you require mainly visual ability or you require someone to help you. So we wanted to make a device that could be used independently by people who suffer from vision loss.
How did you come to find that there was a need for this? Like, what's the story around this particular device?
So it started from our bioengineering senior design project. And if you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's in your final year of bioengineering or in engineering at Penn, you're tasked with creating something that has to do with your major. So we were a group of 5 bioengineers who came together to be a senior design team. And we were kind of struggling with what we wanted to do as part for our project. And it actually started to get into the school year. We were kind of behind all the other groups. We were lacking an idea, lacking focus. So we decided to switch gears a bit and we wanted to do need finding first instead of potentially creating a solution to a problem that didn't exist. We wanted to go to people and ask them what solutions they needed in their day-to-day life. But we found that even just during our original brainstorming, we were always dwelling around ideas that had to do with vision. So we were kind of settling on an ophthalmology project, maybe figuring out how to make ophthalmology devices more useful in low resource spaces. But before delving more into the idea, we just shot out a few emails to a bunch of low vision blind advocacy groups that we can find. And we thankfully got a response from Lynn Heitz, who's the president, as you know, of NFB's PA chapter. And during our meeting with her, we made sure to take the back seat and just hear about what her day-to-day life was and what she felt could be improved. And we heard a story that completely changed our lives and was the catalyst for this project, which was a story about a blind mother whose child was diagnosed with eye cancer. And this mother was at risk of having her child taken from her because, different professionals just did not think that she was fit to measure out the liquid medication that her child needed. And I mean, hearing that problem in 2024 was astounding to us. And I mean, even as I'm working on a solution to the problem, I still can't believe that there's no holistic solution yet. But because of that, we just decided to hit the ground running with that idea, and it's been up and onwards ever since.
So you're taking this a little bit further because obviously now you have all moved on. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
are you still working together as a team, the five of you?
Currently, it's just the two of us. Some of our other group members have had to drop off due to their post-grad commitments or just being unable to find time to work on the project. But Joey and I, despite, our full-time roles, we're still very dedicated to making sure that, this gets to at least the point where maybe we can pass it on to someone else, but just with the end goal of making sure that it works for the people that need it.
I mean, it is a pretty ambitious side hustle. I've heard some side hustles in the day, and this one is reading the executive summary and the business plan and whatnot that you sent over. Just incredible information, and I'll second that with the child and the people wanting to take the baby away. And it happens more times than not that you'll hear a story like that where, for whatever reason, hey, you're blind, you can't do it. And it's just incredibly frustrating to, our entire community. So the fact that you're working on something is just outstanding.
Thank you. And this, I'm sure Joey can touch on this more, but even just the medication situation is the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure that there are so many careers that blind and low vision people are barred from just because of something that us sighted individuals take for granted, like whether that's working in a lab or working in kitchens, bakeries. I just think liquid measurement is something so basic that, everyone should have access to.
I did not know that there was such a personal connection within our very own affiliate that sort of is the impetus for this. So that's really great to know. And I know a lot of, as David alluded to, your summary, your business plan, there's been a lot of work into this. What stage is it at now?
Yes, so currently we have a functional prototype, and it pretty much checks off all the boxes that we wanted to going into this project. As you mentioned before, it is rather ambitious, but I think we've seen enough to where we feel that this is something that is still worth pursuing into. So currently, as mentioned previously before, the device is able to measure out a set amount of liquid, and it incorporates a lot of accessibility features in order to make it a lot easier for the blind low vision community.
So did I see that? So it uses tactile, and there's also, is there an app that goes with this as well?
Correct. I have developed a companion app that not only connects to the device via Bluetooth, but you can send volumes from your phone to the device. The app can also track the volumes that you've measured using the device for those who might, want some medication tracking capabilities, or those who might forget if they took 5 ml yesterday or 4 ml yesterday. And there's also a data bank feature that I was actually hearing it go that gave us this idea for the data bank, that you can search up popular medications and click whether you're dispensing the volume for an adult, child, or infant, and then that will send the volume straight to the device.
How did you, I mean, I'm sure I won't understand what you're about to tell me, but how did you, is it for one type of liquid, or is it a bunch of different medicines? Because I weigh when I pour for hot tea, I weigh the water out, and I know hot water weighs less than or more than cold. I forget what it is. So each liquid is a little bit different weight. So how did that calculation all work out?
So the way that medication dosages usually go, especially with liquid medication, is by volume. And so we're able to leverage this by the fact that by using like a standard medication syringe. So essentially, the units we're concerned about is just with volume. And that translates into how far back we pull the plunger on the syringe.
Yeah, so just going off what Joey said, it was just more so calibrating the motor that we use to pull the syringe upwards to pull it a set amount for 1 ml, a set amount for 2 ml. And we found that really it just depends on the strength of the motor. Like we've tried viscosities ranging from, rubbing alcohol all the way to, common dish soap. And we found that there's been no issue with measuring out an accurate volume. But what we do want to do is make it so that our device can be used on different sizes of syringes, because right now it's completely calibrated towards 5 ml. But I mean, we'd hope for in the future, people don't have to buy a new device every single time they want to measure out using a different volume of syringe. So we hope to just make it more adaptable to being able to utilize different disposable syringes.
So the prototype you have now, who has actually tried this or demoed this?
So, as we mentioned before, we took our very first prototype to the December Keystone chapter meeting. But
Right.
after we utilized that feedback to revamp our idea, unfortunately, we have not gotten to go back to an NFB meeting due to, different scheduling issues. But a few of our classmates have used the device blindfolded, and we've just made sure to take their feedback, see what they thought could be improved. And we've iterated a bit on the device, but I mean, I'm very excited to attend the state convention in November, and hopefully going there will also give us more feedback for our device.
Oh, yeah. Captive audience right there.
I'm very excited.
That's good. So I don't know if you can answer this, but do you have any sense of down the line? Is this the type of thing that you think insurance companies would cover completely? I know I've read that you right now have done enough research where you're able to produce this at I think a cost at less than $50
Correct.
would be out of pocket. But do you think eventually have you talked with any insurance companies and gotten any sense of how they might support it?
Yeah, so we've spoken with a few insurance companies, some occupational therapists, and just from our just brief conversations with them on this matter, we do have faith that there are a lot of, state-run incentives, grants, and different insurance possibilities that could potentially decrease the out of the door price, which is what we want. We want to price our device as low as possible, not only just to make it accessible in the sense that it's tactile and it has different accessibility features, but we also just do not want price to be an issue when buying this device, because we feel that's going to defeat the entire purpose. So we're always actively just looking for ways that we can hopefully get this to as many people as possible when it's ready.
That's a very fine line to walk, because obviously you have to make money if the business is going to be viable.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that, you're saying less than $50 or around $50. Can you, when you say, "Oh, I want to make another prototype," can you get in the car? Back in the day, we would have gone to Radio Shack to get some of the gear. Obviously, now you just order some things online and you get it, and then you put it together. How does that all work out?
Yeah, I mean, from the most part, most of the components, since I've moved away from, the big stacked up bioengineering lab back at Penn to just my own kind of hodgepodge at home lab, most of the things are quite cheap to buy in bulk using Amazon. So the price range is no issue. I guess the most expensive part of our entire process is just 3D printing the casing. But as we move towards production, we hope to use injection molding instead, which will be able to mass produce the casing for the device and also hopefully bring the cost down.
So once you produce the device with the motor, the only thing that you're going to be buying each time, or the customer, the patient is going to have to buy, is the various I don't want the syringes themselves,
Mm-hmm.
the thing that you squirt the medicine into your mouth with, or whatever it might be. Is that right? You just have to get a bunch of those?
Correct. So at first we were thinking of it like a razor and blade model where, they just buy the device as kind of the razor, and then the blade maybe will have partnerships with different syringe companies so that they can make sure when people buy our device, they can make sure that they buy disposable syringes that are compatible with our device. So what you bring up is a very good point. Businesses work by having reoccurring things that people want to buy to like increase income. So we are still looking at things that could, broaden that perspective, because you're right, having just the device is not very viable in terms of like a business model.
I'm just curious too, in terms of the types of medicines. Did you find that there are well, obviously there must be at least enough medications that are only available in liquid form that would warrant, the need for this. But are there things within that are medications within the blind community, the medications that are particular, I guess is what I should say, to the blind community? I'm just thinking of people out there, if they have certain other either underlying conditions or conditions related to their blindness, like who is this really helping?
In the blind community specifically, the one medication that comes off frequently is insulin. I'm aware right now there's like count a dose and other different medication measurement options specifically for diabetes, but hopefully we hope to be able to expand the range of this device to not only be used for like small measurements like insulin medication, but also larger measurements that you can be using in the kitchen or in other aspects. But it's a great question to know in the blind community what other specific liquid medications are used just to increase the use case for this device. But I guess what catalyzed it was specifically for children because, children don't really use any medication that's not in liquid form. So it was more so started just for blind parents to have an option for what to do to give their kids medication.
I think I had mentioned this when you guys were at the meeting. I remember when my wife wasn't going to be home and one of the kids were sick, basically she would fill up however much it's one of those, it's like a spoon that looks like a test tube on the other end of it. And she would fill it up. We would weigh it to see what the weight was. And then I knew how much to put in to give the kids the medicine when she wasn't there. So to me, something like this would have been extremely helpful back in the day. Do it once instead of doing it twice, putting it on the scale, doing the tear, and so forth.
I think another nice point to also make is that there are some medications that you have the option between taking them in solid form or liquid form. I think this device will also try to make the liquid form an option that's also available as well.
This is a question even for you guys. I mean, based on our conversations, we found that, there are other aspects besides liquid medication where this can be useful. But just like off the top of your head, outside of just measuring medication, do you think something like this is helpful?
I was hoping you weren't going to ask that because every night when I use some sort of dipping sauce and I put the bowl on the scale and I pour the sauce in. So immediately I thought of that. Oh, this would be very helpful. But I need more than 5 milliliters.
Don't worry, the larger ranges are coming soon just for that use case.
Okay.
I wanted to touch on expanding this beyond the blind, low vision community. So a lot of times what makes something accessible for the blind community, it actually also helps the larger or sighted community. So how do you think this will translate into helping the sighted community? And just, here's an example. VoiceOver is primarily an accessibility feature on the phone. But I know sighted people that use VoiceOver because it's just more efficient. It's a little faster. In what ways do you see See-Rynge as kind of expanding, making accessibility of this more universal?
So the core mechanism of what the device does is it essentially pulls up a syringe plunger a specified distance. So this can kind of be a delicate task, especially if someone's motor skills are impacted. So that's just one possible use case where this could be useful.
Yeah, as Joey mentioned, there's, quite a lot of disabilities that impact where people have their motor skills impacted. So, I mean, again, I take it for granted, but pulling back a syringe does require hand-eye coordination. It requires a bit of strength. It requires things that I don't think about on a day-to-day basis. But because our entire device is automated, it's really up to a click of a button that's going to take, your syringe from measuring out 0 ml to measuring out 5 ml. But also just the added factor of the application. So if someone maybe struggles with remembering what medication they took the day before, or, what their dosage is for a particular medication that, they might even take on a daily basis, but it just doesn't really land in their brain. The application and the medication tracking capabilities would be very useful for them in that case. So, I mean, as you mentioned, although it's might have been created for one community, I think this has a lot of potential to help others. It's very exciting.
The tracking is definitely a good thing. Every day I ask myself, I have to take eye drops, and I thought even earlier, right before we started recording, did I take my drop at 5 o'clock? And I'm thinking, and I'm like, no, I didn't, because I put them over here, and I know once I take them, I put them over there, and I knew that was the story. But yeah, just the tracking part of it itself is also a great feature.
And what parts on the device are tactile? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so right now all the buttons are tactile, as well as the clamp that puts the syringe into the device is tactile. You'll be able to hear when it clicks in and also feel when it clicks in. And we're also hoping to integrate, right now it's in the beta stages, but we also hope to integrate haptic feedback. So in case you want a vibration when it's done intaking liquid, or you want a vibration when a button is pressed, we're just looking to incorporate as many things as possible to make it as useful as possible.
And the app, I am assuming, is fairly low tech in terms of, the learning curve. Is it pretty straightforward and simple?
Yes, 100%. And one thing that's top of my list while developing is to make sure that it works with like all the pre-existing screen readers and all the other accessibility features that, make apps more useful for a broader population. So, I mean, it's something I've never tried before, but something I'm extremely excited to do.
I wonder what the two of you have learned along the way. Talk about some of the things that were really, please pardon this horrible pun. What were some eye openers that you can share with us?
I think from this entire project, from like start to finish, what I've learned is just starting a venture, starting a business, starting anything, how important community is. Because I mean, our group struggled a bit at Penn to find funding. We struggled, to get our voices out there, to get people knowing about our project. But I think the one thing that we never faltered in was, we had such a strong community with Lynn, with Harriet, with the NFB chapter that we're nearby with, that even though there might have not been all of the stereotypical things that keep a business running present in our, our quote unquote company, we have just been kept alive just based on the people that we've met and like the promises that we've made. And I just think it's added so much more. It's added the people factor to business that I've never seen before. And I'm just excited to see where it takes me, really.
Yeah, I think one really eye-opening thing was really getting in a bit of user testing, because I feel like it really gave us a whole new perspective into the ways that this device could be used, because there are just things that, me as a sighted individual could just not have possibly thought of without like going in person and like consulting, what their needs are and what their experiences are.
So you'll be at our state convention, and you'll, I'm sure, get some very valuable feedback. Then when do you think this will actually, like, what's your plan to have this available to the market?
Our very optimistic plan last year, when we were, applying for funding and everything, was hopefully to have it into production by like mid to late next year. As of right now, that would be extremely optimistic. So we're hoping probably early 2026, everything will be, ironed out and in production. Because right now we're still in the fundraising stage, but I mean, we're lucky enough that because of senior design, we already have a working prototype. So it's more so just about speaking to the right people, hopefully hearing who's interested about this, and getting more hands-on into the mass production details.
So you haven't looked into that as far as where you can get them manufactured at with a decent quality at the lowest cost you can. You haven't found any place yet, or you haven't even started to look yet at that?
We have not found any place yet, no. still in the beginning stages, unfortunately.
So then it sounds like this would be a good time to say, how can people help support or advance this?
That great question. We are always looking to, continue user testing on individuals, hear people's specific use cases for a device like this, also hear where they believe it can be improved. I mean, again, we're always looking for fundraising. Right now, it's being funded with our own dollars, which is fine, but I mean, hopefully it won't always be from just our personal pockets. And anyone that's interested can reach out to us at SEERYNGE, which spells See-Rynge, at gmail.com. We're very open to just hearing what anyone has to say.
Joey, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just generally, if you have any ideas on, areas that we should look into, places that we could maybe improve, or things that you think maybe that we're forgetting about, we would definitely love to hear about that.
Chiadika and Joey, thank you so much for staying the course with this, for your commitment. I didn't mention this before. We talked via email, but neither one of you even it's not like you have a relative or a close friend who's blind and you've kind of walked that path with someone, but just that story that you shared earlier was impactful enough for both of you to stay with this. So we're so appreciative, and I'm just so honored to have you guys. It's been wonderful to see this commitment that you're staying with it. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much for having us. And again, it's a people project. We've met such incredible individuals that, if we can make their lives even just a bit easier, I think we'd be honored to.
And folks, go easy on the Mid-State Convention. I have a feeling that's going to be one crowded table, but
I'm afraid they're going to end up at the bar and say, go ahead, 5 milliliters. Go ahead. Let me see how it works.
Well, we look forward to following the progress of this. Please keep us posted, drop us a line, and let us know. And maybe we'll see you at another chapter meeting too. That's always a possibility. So thank you both again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again to Chiadika and Joey for stopping by and filling us in on the progress of See-Rynge. And Lisa, what a great idea.
Not only what a great idea, but you couldn't have two better people at the helm of this. The fact that they are staying with this when they kind of could have let this go, but it's so near and dear to them. And they probably do see the potential clearly they see the potential for a business, but I think we heard from them a genuine and very authentic desire to serve the blind, low vision community.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that. And if you've got ideas on what you might be able to use this device for, we'd love to hear from them. Why don't you give us a call, 267-338-4495. Remember, you've got up to 3 minutes to leave your name and town and what you'd use it for, or if you have questions or comments about something else, we'd love to hear those too. But we'd really love to know your thoughts on this device and how it can help you. Again, 267-338-4495.
And even after state convention, if you do go up and meet Chiadika and you get to play with See-Rynge, send us an email about that. Our email address is whitecanesconnect@gmail.com.
And that's another good point, Lisa. If you're going to state convention and you want to report back to us, please reach out to us after the convention and let us know how it was for you, how that ride was on the bus. If you're going on the bus, we'd love to hear. Again, either call or email, and we'd love to know your thoughts.
In the meantime, we thank you again for listening to White Canes Connect.
Thanks for listening. Take care.